Hello and welcome to The Report, Cal State Fullerton's premier source for news, views, and info. Thanks for joining us for another episode. I'm Michelle Gal.
And I'm Shayra Arias.
I'm Nicholas Garcia.
And I'm Evan Boydston. On today's episode, we will be discussing how journalists still have to fight for their First Amendment rights.
From a journalist and well-known celebrity who were arrested for reporting on the North Dakota pipeline, to journalists who face difficulties on our very own campus.
All this and more on today's episode of The Report.
Before we delve into our first hot topic, we'd like to invite you to be a part of the discussion this semester season. Click on the link in the caption of any of our report episodes to fill out a secure Google form with your opinion on any controversial issue that we've talked about now or in the past. As many of these issues are reoccurring and evolving, ranging from gun control to abortion, climate change, or the state of politics right now. All we ask is to please keep it civil and, as with any essay, cite your sources.
The Standing Rock Sioux Tribe and environmental activists have been protesting construction of the 1,100-mile pipeline in North Dakota for several months, saying it threatens the water supply and sacred sites. 83 protesters were arrested Saturday on numerous charges, ranging from rioting and criminal trespass. The local sheriff's department admitted to using, quote, tear gas against the protest where hundreds of Native American nations have been gathering for months to demand the project's cancellation, end quote. On Sunday, more than 800 protesters from various tribes blocked the main highway at Standing Rock with their cars and even their own bodies. Kelly Burns, a protester who hung back behind a fence at the scene, told a local Bismarck Tribune people were being pepper sprayed and thrown to the ground, and added that law enforcement was more aggressive in past confrontations. Sheriff Kyle Kirchmer said, quote, the protest was intentionally coordinated and planned by agitators with a specific intent to engage in illegal activities, end quote. In a statement defending the use of force in removing and arresting the protesters, Amy Goodman, reporter and host of her own show Democracy Now!, was arrested for reporting in the field and releasing it on her show. So we need to discuss the issue of Amy Goodman being arrested, these protesters being arrested at this Dakota pipeline.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that definitely goes against the First Amendment, right?
Let's talk about Amy Goodman.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that the country is kind of trying to hide this, and I haven't seen this in the headlines or anything.
No, I haven't either.
I haven't really seen this, but someone as with the status of Amy Goodman.
If you don't watch Democracy Now!,
exactly,
you might not know.
Exactly, yeah, that is true. But Amy Goodman, the fact that she was being, like, her First Amendment right was being trumped on, and I don't know. It's kind of unfortunate that our country is stooping to that level right now.
Well, the only thing is that I'm sure that this organization looked into speaking with lawyers. So somewhere along the lines, a lawyer did say, or various lawyers did say, you guys do have a case. And I think where it comes down to is that was she in their private property? I think that's what the main issue is for them. If she wasn't in their private property, then now she's trespassing. And if she's trespassing, the First Amendment doesn't necessarily protect you completely for trespassing. And so it's murky, is what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. That's why I think that that they were able to release the warrant, and this is happening.
Absolutely. I think that the question over the First Amendment and journalists' rights is evident in this case, and I had the opportunity to sit down with our own Sarah Fenton for an interview yesterday. Let's go to that.
So I go to the rec center with the camera person that I had. We didn't bring any cameras or anything, and just to get a little bit more information about the boot camp so we can do a live shot outside. So we go to the person at the front desk, and he was giving us some information, but he didn't know much about it, so he called his manager. And so the manager comes out, very nice, very friendly, and she's talking to me about the camp, and then I told her, I said, yes, this is for the OC News show on campus, and we'll be filming. And she stopped me and she goes, well, did you put in an application a week ago? And I said, no, it's outside, so we were going to film outside. And she told me, well, since it is a rec center event, you do have to submit an application ahead of time because even though it's outside, you do have to get approval for it. So I just left it at that. I said, okay, thank you. And I went back and informed my professor about what had happened. And she told me, she said, that's breaching your First Amendment right. She goes, this is a public university. You're outside. You're not inside the rec center. It doesn't matter if it is a rec center event. You're outside. She goes, if you want, you can film wherever you want. It's outside and it's public. She can't stop you from filming in there, or from filming out there.
Right.
And I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't know to the extent, I didn't want to cross any lines or anything. That was it. But it was eye-opening because I had never experienced that before, and I knew based off of what had happened recently on the news and what I've heard, I knew it was a problem, but I didn't know it would come down to the college level.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know others were unaware of the First Amendment right and the rights that we have as journalists. And I think maybe they should be more educated on it, and hopefully this helps.
So it's pretty surprising that this is happening on campus. You know, what do you guys think about that?
I mean, this is a public institution too, which is it's insane that she couldn't even film on campus in public in the courtyard. I guess I understand because the SRC it was privately funded, so it makes sense why you'd have to go through these hurdles to be able to film there. But this was still in the walkways, so it's interesting how it's all bureaucracy. There's so much that they just want to keep their image, I feel, which makes sense, but they have to respect the First Amendment of journalists and whatnot, trying to portray the school. But what are you guys' thoughts?
As a journalist, I think right now, for us, since we're studying, it's so important for us to know what our rights are. Because in the future, along the way, when it does happen to you specifically, you need to know where you stand so that you can either put a stop to it at the moment. And if you're not paying attention in that media law class and you're not writing your notes down and you're not asking the questions that you need to ask, you're going to go out there and you're not going to know where you stand as a journalist. And I think that's what's super important at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So I believe that there are a lot of controversy over media rights and politics, especially with the state of events right now, which brings us to our next hot topic. Politics are getting heated as we move closer to the election. Trump, in an interview with WFOR, a CBS Miami affiliate, Trump was asked if he believes the First Amendment provides, quote, too much protection, end quote. Trump answered in an affirmative, saying he'd like to change the laws to make it easier to sue media companies. Trump lamented that under current law, quote, our press is allowed to say whatever they want, end quote. With elections so close, could this new headline affect Trump in these last 2 weeks? Also, if Trump gets elected, will this be the end of free speech in regards to the media? What do you guys think?
Well, I think that, luckily we're protected by the First Amendment, but it would be scary to have a Trump presidency as a journalist. You have his rallies where he's invoking violence towards the media. His supporters have attacked reporters, and he constantly is attacking them. And I don't take offense as a journalist. I take offense as an American. It's un-American, it's undemocratic, and it's unconstitutional for him to be throwing into question our rights as journalists. It's our job to report on his rallies. It's our job to report on the things that he says. It's fact that he says the things he says. Yeah, it might seem crazy when he's watching it back. Oh, I really said that? He can't sue us for that. Luckily, we have the First Amendment.
What are your thoughts then? Because I don't know if you all saw, but the SNL clip where they were basically, what's it called?
It was satire.
Satire of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and their obviously opinions and views were against Trump. And he tweeted later saying that, it's a horrible show, and if he was president, he would, one of the first things he would do is to shut it down.
I think that just shows his thin skin, honestly. I mean, you're going to take offense to a Saturday Night Live. They poke fun at everybody. They poke fun at Hillary Clinton as well.
Well, it's unfortunate because it seems that Trump is kind of insinuating the negative views on the media, and that's why there's such a distrust in media right now, especially, I feel, which is really unfortunate, especially for young journalists like us, because now we instantly, for when we go on campus, we just have this, okay, they're up to something, they're investigating something, we have to make sure that they don't get access to anything. So that's kind of I feel like there's this whole just negative view of journalism and media in the country right now.
It's a catch-22, really, because it's we want to get the most accuracy and the truth of stories, but then also when we do report them, then it becomes public, and sometimes it can affect those cases or anything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the accuracy is what's important. And if you're projecting yourself a certain way, you can't blame a journalist for projecting you the exact same way that you're already speaking. So I think that's the issue with him, where he says certain things and then journalists report about it, then he's mad about what he already said. They're just doing their job. If you don't want to be portrayed as what you are being portrayed, then you need to change the way you're portraying yourself.
Playing devil's advocate, I do notice that we do have a lot of rights in the media, and sometimes the media doesn't portray the whole story. And another topic I wanted to hit on while we were talking about this was, because Trump is such a celebrity, before he was a presidential candidate, he was a celebrity. This brings the issue of almost where do we draw the line for reporting privacy? Different celebrities will have people going to their homes, people nude photos.
The thing with that,
where do we draw the line of what's right and what's wrong?
Well, talking about privacy and drawing the line as a journalist with celebrities as well, a lot of times some journalists become friends with celebrities. Mm-hmm. So it's okay for you to portray them as something specifically because now you're friends. So then if a journalist comes and report about a celebrity who's done something negatively or is showing them in a negative way, it becomes a problem for the celebrity now, but they're just doing their job. Do you get what I mean?
Well, that calls the journalist's ethics into question as well. We have to have good ethics and we have to be accurate. We in the field and in the industry, journalists who lie and fabricate stuff, we punish them on our own. They get blacklisted, and we usually don't see them ever again.
They don't get hired. They don't get hired after that.
Look at Dan Rather and Brian Williams. We don't kicked off the nightly news.
Yeah.
So for this to be, that's a completely different situation. Fabricating is completely different, and being accurate. But when you are accurate, what do you say to that?
Well, I mean, the thing is, in portrayal of the certain of the story, there's always going to be, as we know with the big three news media outlets, there's going to be on the left and the right. So which brings us to our next topic. DePaul University banned conservative commentator Ben Shapiro from speaking on campus, stating, quote, "Given the experiences and security concerns that some other schools have had with Ben Shapiro speaking on their campus, DePaul cannot agree to allow him to speak on our campus at this time," end quote. Bob Janis, the university's vice president of facilities operation, wrote in an email to the executive board of the DePaul chapter of Young Americans for Freedom, which sponsored Shapiro's planned appearance. As a Catholic institution and therefore a private institution, DePaul University does not have a public university's direct constitutional obligation to uphold the First Amendment. However, quote, "private colleges and universities are contractually bound to respect the promises they make to students," end quote. As the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education has noted, quote, "they may not be bound by the First Amendment, but private institutions are still legally obligated to provide what they promise." Ben Shapiro is considered as one of the top conservative talk radio hosts in the nation for his extremely clear and concise factual evidence he presents. I understand DePaul University is a private institution, but it's still an institution on American soil. So for me, one thing, I get it that it's private, but it's just interesting why are they not obligated by the First Amendment right when they are on American soil? Because no matter what, for them to be on campus, they have to abide by the Constitution. Or to be a campus, they have to abide by the Constitution. For me, I'm a huge fan of Ben Shapiro, but I also love listening to listen to podcasts by Vox's The Weeds, which is very liberal.
Yeah. Right.
I think it's important as a journalist to see both sides. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, no matter if they agree with his ideology or his politics, it's his right to speak his mind. It's his First Amendment right. And because they are an American university, if they want to be an American university, they need to abide by the Constitution. So they should not have stopped that.
Something that could have been a little bit even interesting for them, they could have brought somebody and countered the situation by saying, okay, you won't let him speak because he's too conservative, so then we'll bring somebody very liberal at the same time. So that it kind of makes it even in that sense. You know what I mean? So that could have been maybe something they could.
Well, actually, at another university, he was actually denied to speak there. And I read this in a tweets that he was retweeting. But then a very liberal person said, okay, maybe I will debate them. But he denied. He was like, no, you guys already denied me, so I'm not going to go and speak to you guys anymore. So this has been a trend lately with him because of starting with the DePaul University. So it's unfortunate that now people are starting to realize they're starting to backtrack, saying, okay, we did go against our First Amendment rights.
Right.
Let's try to fix this. But now he is saying no, because you guys already you guys
And
already ruined it from the beginning. So
that's his right, and it's unfortunate. Just like Sarah Fenton dropping her story, that's her right. She don't want to do it anymore.
Exactly.
And that's up to the university to get a liberal speaker after him. They can portray both sides of the spectrum. That's up to them, not up to him.
And they should have done that from the beginning. They shouldn't have waited for it to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, and what kind of image are they portraying to their students? So it's almost like they're giving them, I want to say, giving them two thoughts at once, in the sense that, okay, we're a private university, so we can do whatever we want, and we're going to go against the Constitution, and we're going to do, so it's almost giving the students the idea that, okay, when I grow up, then if I'm in a private institution, then I can start doing whatever I want with this or with that. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate to see it at a university level.
It also makes
where
me question,
you're forming the leaders of our nation. You know what I mean?
It also makes me question, though, did Ben have this idea before going into it? Like, did he research about the school? He should have known about...
he graduated Harvard Law by like 22.
And he went to UCLA.
He went to UCLA by like 16, 17 years old.
But with DePaul, though, he should have...
you would expect DePaul University, a Catholic university, to be somewhat more conservative anyway. So that's what's very interesting. The fact it was just because there was a lot of this also brings up the whole PC culture and everything like that. And now there was a lot of riots with the PC culture versus the non-PC, obviously, who just want to say whatever they want. So that's what DePaul University was talking about in regards to insinuating riots and whatnot. So it's just interesting to me that the fact that a very conservative university wouldn't let a conservative person speak. So, well, that's all the time we have on this episode of The Report. Stay tuned for more news, views, and info to go. I'm Evan Boydston.
I'm Michelle Gao.
And I'm Shayra Arias.
And I'm Nicholas Garcia. Stay fresh, Fullerton.